3:30 in the morning. Right now we're down to about maybe a half hour of total darkness. Other than that, we kind of look like this, right? Where it's still light enough to actually drive without your headlights on. Beautiful clear skies this morning, but it's still 37 degrees Fahrenheit out there. And at least it looks like we're going to hit the mid-60s over the next 7 days, which would be kind of nice to have some really warm temperatures. Really haven't had a whole lot of that yet this year. Sean in Alaska, let's get this thing started, shall we? To do a temporary test here. Cool. There's a wrong way. That is long enough for what I need to do. And then grab some wire cutters, clip that, and see, first of all, black or orange coming off of positive. Looks like black coming off a negative. Always pays to check. So black coming off a negative. So my goal here is to see if in fact I can top off the charge on this OPS 1800 using a solar panel. And before you think I might be screwing it up, understand that this is one of the charging cables that comes with it, right? And it's got the cigarette lighter adapter, plugs right into the input line on there, and this is set up so that you could plug it into your 12-volt adapter, cigarette lighter, as old folks call them, in your vehicle, so you can charge it in your vehicle. So I went to an auto parts store and I picked up this 12-volt dual USB power outlet, right? So it's got not only the cigarette lighter adapter, but it's also got 2 USB ports on there. So I thought I would go ahead and see if I can't get this wired up and see if it would in fact charge, get it from there, the OPS. If it does, then I can carry this one step further and run a line from that solar panel out to or into the house, and there we go. And be able to leave this plugged in during the daytime while I'm at work and have it get charged all the way up. Now, anything I can do to lower the amount of time I have to use the generator is A, going to save me money, but more importantly, it's going to be a lot more peaceful. Now this actually says on it that the black wire is negative, right? So here's the wires you're going to use to connect to it. But it's not for cigarette lighters, okay? Take that off. We got some instructions right here. When doing electrical work, always disconnect the vehicle battery. Not a problem. Direct connect to 12-volt DC system. Input 12 volts. Dual USB output is 5 volts. And up to 2.1 amps each. Heavy-duty underdash mounting kit, 12-volt power port, 12 amps maximum, built-in automatic overload reset. And again, red wire is positive, black wire is negative, so we've already decided that the black wire is in fact negative on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this plug off. Okay, so that is cut. I actually had this pigtail thing laying around inside. I was going to use that for a second, but it didn't look like it was going to work. So then I need to cut these. I'm not an electrician. All right. And then this is, let's see, we'll go with a 10 gauge. Let's go with a 12 gauge. Perfect. 12 gauge works. So we know that that's my positive, that's my negative, and again, the red wire is positive and the black wire is negative. Probably. Give myself a little more room here. This is going to be very jerry-rigged to begin with. Because I don't know if it's going to work. I think I've got some wire nut connectors inside. I'll go grab them. That this should in fact light up this Oh, it did. So it's lit up the USB ports. So this should, in theory, work. Let me go ahead and grab some wire nuts and throw them on top of there. And then we will plug this into that and see if it, in fact, charges the OPS. Okay, hopefully these wire nuts will work. I need to get like a little box full of electrical connections. Especially if I'm going to play around with this solar stuff, right? And electrical wiring in general. All right, so here is the test. Starts charging. So it's at 44% right now. It is in fact charging off of that solar panel, and we're at 29 input watts. So not a lot. The sun is not really out. I'm going to get a towel and wipe off the solar panel, and then we'll see how much of a difference that makes, because that solar panel was sitting under snow and everything else. And like I said, it was an 1800 watt solar panel, but it's charging right now for free off of this silly little adjustment. That is awesome. Okay, let me wipe this down and see what we get. Alright, let's see what kind of difference that makes. I'll try and get this in a better location as far as I can go. Right now I have a whole bunch of stuff that is in fact blocking it, trees and everything, but the sun's about to cross over and I should get better productivity out of this panel when it does. The part of the other thing I should explain too is why am I going through this other than the fact that, you know, it's free power that I can use all the time if this works really easily. It's not a permanent solution, right? So in winter this won't work because solar in Alaska doesn't really work in winter. But whenever you take, my panels are 12 volts, right? And they're going into a system that has to go through a power inverter to convert it to 110. So whenever you convert something to something else, you lose electrical current in that changeover. But I can run, like my lights and everything else, directly off the 12 volt that will be coming from my batteries. So the lights will always stay 12 volt. Well, now that I know that this works, I can also run a series of wires from my 12 volt bus bar and run 12 volt wiring over to where the OPS is going to be sitting, over at the desk area, and I could charge this directly off of that 12 volt and not lose the power that I'm going to lose going from 12 volt to 110. And then obviously when it goes into the OPS, it's not charging it at 110 volts. It's converting stuff back over again. More electric math than I want to learn, but I do need to start learning something. So if I can get this to work, then I know that when I go to wire the whole wall up inside the cabin, that I can continue to charge this off the 12 volt system that I'll have. So, which means I'll have less power loss than if I tried to charge it off the 110, for example. Let's see what we've got in clearer sunlight. Now we're up to about 30, 29, 30, 29, 30. We'll see what happens. There goes 30. I want to see what happens when it gets in full sun. And again, like I said, so this is the original 12 volt charging cord into a 12 volt adapter, lighter adapter that I picked up, and USB port that I picked up at, I think I got this at O'Reilly's. And then it's wired into the positive and the negative on that solar panel. And it's costing absolutely nothing to run that solar panel like that. And we'll see what happens as things keep going. But we're at 44%. I don't know how long it's going to take to see any kind of movement in this at all. And I'd like to see how high it gets, because that's a 180 watt panel. So I want to see how high it gets on the OPS as it's charging. Right now we're at 29, 28. And we're dealing with, quite overcast skies today. So it's not really, really clear. Of course, the one place it is clear is in the chicken coop. So originally when I was designing the cabin and deciding what I wanted to do with it as far as solar went, I opted to not mount solar panels on the roof. And I did that because I did not want to impede the snow shedding on that roof. And I'm glad I did. I'm not going back on that. I don't want to change that in any way, shape, or form. I don't want anything more on the roof than the roof. But I'm planning on building the woodshed here. So now my thought process is I could mount these panels, because here is the exposure that I need for solar. And that is the same angle right here that I plan on building the woodshed. So I can build the woodshed, and then I can mount those solar panels on the front of the woodshed, multiple ones all the way across, run a conduit under the ground over to the cabin underneath, and then bring the power up from underneath there. So that's where the eventual solar panels are going to be now. But in the meantime, I need to set up a stand for the solar panels, or for the one solar panel that I have, because I would like to keep topping off that battery, eventually a couple of batteries that I have inside. So I need to either build something or use something. And I don't want to just use this. I'd rather build something, because I don't want to take it down and put it up and take it down and put it up until I'm ready to mount everything. And I'll be using this to cut more wood. So maybe I'll do that. These are cheap hinges, but they work. It's really funny that the more you do stuff, the more you realize what will work and what won't work. Switch it over there for now. Got the same thing right here, huh? Okay. There we go. One of the things that I did when I first started building a lot of stuff was I just overcomplicated everything. So I built that big stand that this sat on, and I measured out all the angles where it would be in fall and spring, and then in summer and winter, even though for most of winter it was useless. And in reality, all I needed to do was this, right? And I could do this with 2x4s as well. But now it's hinged, so now I can put a screw in here in the side. I can mount a board here, and honestly, all I need to do is, and I could actually do it with the screw going all the way through the board, now I can stretch these out or bring these in and just have a screw that it locks into and folds down on the side. It'd be a whole lot easier than building a huge stand, because the base for this thing was massive. It was fun to build. I learned a lot. Now it's stable. Okay. Now we're at 62, 63. We're up at 46%. So we've picked up 2% on the charge on this. 61, 60, and the sun's still, like I said, you know, it's still not out where it needs to be. It's kind of trapped right there behind that tree, but it's going to come around. But yeah, I'm getting somewhere there. I'm getting somewhere. Okay, eventually, like I said, all the power here... Oh, hi camera. Let me move that up. Oh. It's tough to record in tight spaces. So eventually, like I said, all my electrical is going to go on this wall. It's just a decision that I made. I think that'll be a lot easier. It'll free up everything over here for storage like I had originally intended. So for now, though, because I'm not really set up to do that yet, obviously, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the electrical through this wall. So when I get to the point where I need to switch it from that wall to that wall, I'll just drill holes back through here again. And then I'll just fill the holes that I drill over here with foam, because I'm going to drill straight through the framing on the 2x4s, just because it'll be inside the wall that way. So I'm going to grab my big drill, and we're going to give that a shot, and hopefully I can get all the way through everything without hitting a stud from underneath. Why don't I do this from underneath? Well, because I don't know where the wall is underneath. I want to be able to come up, I want to be able to come straight down and make sure I get to it. So let me grab my drill. Hopefully the screw will be long enough. So I think, and this is why I want to do it, I don't want all this trash in here. I want to get rid of all this stuff. Let's move the vacuum sealer over to this side for now. Find out if this is going to work. I just need one hole. And I want to kind of line it up right here. So we'll put it right here and let's see if we can get through without hitting a beam below. Aha! Get up there. I was afraid of that. Luckily though, I brought a battery in with me. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh shoot. Come on. And I'm in insulation, which is perfect. So now I need to run something down there so I can find it when I get underneath. Let's see if I've got some. Oh, you know what? I've got this spool of wire right here. Let's run that. How's that sound? And this one. So this is the solar panel in. There we go. And I actually have a breaker that I bought where I'll be running the input wires from the solar panel to its own breaker, so that I can just switch off that incoming power if I have to work on the system, and then I don't have to worry about more power coming in when I do that. But hopefully I should be able to get both of these. First thing I'm going to have to do though is clean up this wiring nightmare. Come on, get over there. Still a little soft under here. Okay. There we go. And that is the insulation from the floor. Look at all that insulation batted up too. So I lost like one bat of insulation that actually ended up outside. They got destroyed. I have one laying on the ground here, and then this one. And that was all because I didn't bother to close this all in yet last year. Okay, so we need this one. And then we need, where are you at here? This one. And we need that one. I'm sure I've seen someone do this before, so I'm not the genius for thinking of it. But I will tell you that off camera I pulled this wire back out again and went ahead and rounded out that hole a little more. I took the roll of wire back in there with me and made sure that I had enough for the two cables going up, because they're pretty, these are pretty thick compared to that drill bit. I'll head back up to the top. I'll get that secured. I won't connect it yet. I'll run these out as far as I can once I know I have the line that I need up there. this one. And I got this one. I can't go too far, it doesn't look like. I can always order some more and run another cable together. So pretty easy, right? Male to female. Female to male. And we should actually be powered right now. Let's go take a quick peek. Okay. Don't know if we can see if we've got power coming in or not. It just shows. Let me go get another light. It shows that the solar panel is connecting. Oh, and we do have power coming in. But I need to get, I wonder if the, I don't think there's anything in this box that the charge controller came in. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't look this up online for some instructions to how I can read what the charge is that's coming in. But we're getting a charge, so I'm now going to leave that plugged in permanently. Is pretty. I think before I eat, I'll go ahead and disconnect this. We only ended up getting up to 51% from 44%, so I mean, not the end of the world, right? But with the clouds in the air, I'm going to unplug that. I don't think we're going to get anything else tonight. That, and I want to top off my cell phone battery. Chick, 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 chick. Plug it back in tomorrow. We'll give it a much better test. See how it does. I am gonna head to town tomorrow now that I know it works, and do a pick up some wire, do a wire run. Okay. And run that wire underneath the cabin back up through the other side, and be able to charge this in place in the house. Hot. There we go. I got a ribeye potato, or a ribeye steak with camp style potatoes. They are yummy. Salt, pepper, olive oil, butter, a little bit of rosemary, wrapped up in foil and cooked. And then that steak's cooked right around medium rare to medium. Should be yummy. And I wanted to jump on here real quick just to shake my head, number one, at the cost of metal and wire anywhere in the United States right now. It's just ridiculous. But to share a little hack, right? So for me to buy 100 foot of 12 gauge wire, it's like $62.50. Now, $62.50 would easily, the 100 feet, I could cut it in half and I could easily go, you know, wherever I want to go with the solar panel. But I want two different colors, and that's because I'm an idiot. And I always need to know that I have the right colors connected to the right things. So what I did was, Todd had mentioned, dude, if you know, if you want something in the way of wire that's not as expensive, look at the extension cords. Here's a 50-foot indoor-outdoor extension cord. All right, it'll take a maximum of 1,625 watts. That panel only puts out 180 watts. It'll take a maximum of 13 amps at 125 volts. Not ever going to happen. I could tie 3 or 4 of those together and never even get that close. And it's insulated for up to 300 volts. So I could have paid $62.50 for a spool of wire, but being who I am, I would have had to buy two because I wanted the two, the red and the black. Or I could have just bought this and made it work, and the cost of this is $18.24. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip both ends off of this extension cord. I'm going to wire it into this solar panel. I'm going to run that wiring underneath the cabin and bring it up, and I'm going to have extra wire left over. I mean, that's no big deal. And when I get to the point where I hardwire that all in from inside the cabin, I'll just take this extension cord and put another male and female adapter on the end of it. Now, this is a 3-prong cord, so there will be a ground wire in there that I will not use. So I'll just take that wire and tape it off on both ends. But there's just so many easy hacks that you could do with this kind of stuff. And I was not, I spent less than 20 bucks, or I could have spent 60 bucks, 120 bucks, right? $125 for 2 rolls of wire that I'm really not going to use right now. Most of the wire that I buy up here when I know I'm going to be doing something with wire, I get off of Amazon and have it shipped here because it's just so much cheaper to do it that way. So anyway, just want to touch bases with you on that. I'm going to finish this up and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So I ran the extension cord behind that bat right there. I'll go ahead and I'll have to tape all that up with Tyvek tape, but I'll get to that in the fall because obviously this is not a winter solution because I won't get any solar from that during the winter anyway. But it's right next to my framing stud right here. So I can actually run that line up here and make that plug happen right back behind there. And then when I pull that cord out, what'll end up happening is I'll run it from the other direction and I'll just run it to the same location. So I've got that run here to here, and I've got power coming off of it, and then I just plug this in. We're down to 45% because I'm charging up my power brick. But right now I have 40 watts, 38 watts coming in, and 3 watts going out, and that's the 3 watts going out is the charging brick. So that tells me what I actually have coming in and out. And we're at 45%, and from this point forward, it will constantly be plugged in. And I'll let you guys know later on this week how it does, and whether or not I get to 100% charge on this. But if I leave it plugged in all the time, I should never have to worry about it again, which is super awesome. Well, till winter anyway. But yeah, I'm pretty fired up with that. Let me show you outside real quick. And that's where the power is coming out, right? Just on this side of that beam. And then it runs across, it runs under the stairs. I've got extra cord there. And then I tied it all together right here, and I capped off the green wire, which is the ground, and taped that off, and then I taped off the other two as well. But I ran this underneath here as opposed to over because that way I can move this around and not have to worry about the cord being hung up. So I'm actually going to take this now, I think, and drag it out a little bit further into the driveway where I'm going to get much more sun and see how much power we can get off of this. So I just kind of moved the solar panel around. I'll show you how I moved it because the sun is coming over the top of the cabin right now, but we're drawing like anywhere from 80 to 85, 86 watts coming in right now, 87. So this should charge up relatively quick. 90, 92, 94. It'll be interesting to see how high I can get this to charge. I'm going to go out and turn that panel a little bit more and see if we can get it up any higher than that. I'm obviously not going to be able to do this while I'm at work, but while I'm at home, I can move that panel around. So I've got the sun right up here, right there. And I need to turn that panel, and having this extra cord is sure awesome. I need to turn that panel so that we're almost directly, there we go. All right, I got the sun coming down, I got it hitting that panel, a little bit of dust on it. And you can see where my shadow is, right? So that should be directly on the panel. I'll tell you what, this is super cool. All right, we're still running 80 watts right in that area. It's down to 73, down to 68. That's clouds coming over 64, but that's where the sun's at. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to move it around throughout the day. We're at 45% charge. I'll tell you where we're at the end of the day today. Day one is I'm getting ready to head to bed, and I did turn on the TV and watch a movie. We started at what, 43%, I think, this morning?
We're at 50%, and I'm still gaining power right now. So 5 watts, 4 watts, not much. But we will go ahead and let me turn this off here. Let it do its thing. Not bad for the first day, especially since there's nothing but clouds out there. Nothing but overcast. I don't want you guys to think that my goal is to have all this electricity, because it's not. I live pretty simply, and I'm okay with not having a whole lot of electrical appliances. But there are certain things that I do need electricity for, and obviously we get dark in the winter, and lighting kerosene lamps all the time is going to be a hassle. Although I do enjoy the ambiance of the oil lamps, and I will turn off all my regular lights on occasion and just sit in oil lamps, which is just super awesome. But I do all the editing and all the charging of all the battery stuff that I use off of electricity, so I need to have some. And obviously I need to have electricity for some of the tools that I use as well. And the solar, I don't think, is ever going to replace, for me, well, I know it's not ever going to replace the electricity that I need for that kind of stuff. But it does make things a little bit more comfortable and more convenient. And if it's something that I could feasibly do, then I intend on doing it. Now, if we could just get the sky to participate today and give us a little bit of sunshine, that would be awesome as well. It's probably going to do it for this week, folks. I am Sean in Alaska. I hope you have an incredible week. We'll get back together next week. I got to do some planting. I got to take care of those seedlings that I got in the house. So I think I'm going to transfer all the herbs over to pots because they weren't going to have to be planted in the garden anyway. Especially the basil, which doesn't do very well outside here in